All right, what's going on, guys? It is Sunday, February 16th, and we've got a great podcast for you tonight. We've got a lot of topics and a lot of stuff that we're going to cover, and we're going to jam it into one podcast tonight, so you don't want to miss this one. We're going to kick it off and talk about this weird goat idol that was recently spotted at Mar-a-Lago. This thing was covered in $100 bills with Trump's face, and it was replaced with "In God We Trust" with "In Trump We Trust." We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a statement that Larry Ellison of Oracle, one of the three guys that are involved with Stargate, he made a chilling statement. We're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about a statement that was made from Zelensky, in which he's calling for a, quote, army of Europe to take on Russia without the assistance of the United States and Trump. And then Mike Pence says that, quote, biblical change is coming to the Middle East. And then finally, I want to talk about the Saudi prince has now stepped in and is one of the main power brokers in what is being called Trump's New World Order. Wow, what a podcast we got. So buckle up. We got a lot to talk about.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It is Sunday, February 16th. This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. And of course, I'm your host, founder, and voice of End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo. And we want to welcome everybody to this special Sunday afternoon broadcast. If this is your first time joining us, perhaps let us know in the comment section below, either in the chat or in the comments on the rebroadcast of this, so that I can acknowledge that and our administrators will as well. And listen, we're glad you're here, and we welcome you, and we love you already. And we pray that you become a part of our group here, part of this platform that we've created here to be a gathering place of watchmen, a place where the sons of Issachar can come together, who have discernment of the times and seasons in which we're in. So we hope that this ministry will be a great blessing to you. Listen, can you do us a favor? Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. It's going to be beneficial to us, and it's going to be a blessing to you. Take it a step further. Go to your Play Store and download our free app. It's available right now on Apple. It was available on Android. We're working to get it back up. It got taken down for quote unquote technical issues, and we're praying and hoping that we get that back up this week. Nevertheless, if it don't get back up, we've got workarounds. We'll get it back up. You'll be able to get the app, so don't worry about that. And again, if you already have our app, this doesn't affect you. But again, download it today, hit yes to push notifications, and you're going to be good to go and squared away. So as we said at the top of this hour, guys, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. I want to get right into this first story. Now, this one ruffled a lot of feathers, made headway. This was one of our most viral posts this week. And of course, I'm talking about the bizarre Trump Mar-a-Lago goat that has sparked outrage from Christians. All right, guys, there's music with this, so I'm going to pause it because I don't want to get a hit. If we let the music play, they'll hit us with a copyright. So I want to show you the video. And here's video of this thing. This is this weird, bizarre, again, this is a goat that is wrapped in $100 bills with Donald Trump's face. There it is. And it says, "In Trump We Trust." And here, again, it's being shown here. It was at a charity auction on February the 27th. And I'm going to read this headline. It's from the Daily Mail. Quote, "Christians are not finding that a signed MAGA goat on display at Mar-a-Lago is the greatest of all time. Project GOAT, which stands for the Global Offensive Against Trafficking, is an initiative where 75-pound goat sculptures, so apparently there's more than one of these things, are being auctioned off to raise funds to combat child trafficking. Founders Rob and Debbie Canton of Tampa, Florida, have saved 7 goats, interesting number, from slaughter and found additional inspiration when one of their goats gave birth to a blind and deaf goat named Grady. From there, Grady goat sculptures were born. Again, goat sculptures were born, with the first one crafted back in 2019. There have been a number of creative Grady goat sculptures created since then. One of the goats is Trump-themed and is currently on display. I said it's currently on display at Mar-a-Lago ahead of a planned February 27 charity auction. So this is coming up in about 11 days from this broadcast. This goat is plastered in fake $100 bills in which Trump's face has replaced Benjamin Franklin's, and the bills say, quote, "In Trump we trust." So it's replacing "In God we trust" with "In Trump we trust." Not exactly in the same place as "In God we trust," but it still had Christians raising questions online. And again, guys, this exploded all over online. It went over TikTok, Facebook, all over these social media platforms. This was the talk for about 3 days at least, and it's still going on. It also sported a highly coveted Trump signature at the bottom of the sculpture. So Trump himself signed this goat. And again, they're calling this thing an idol. It's covered in Trump's face. It's covered in Trump we trust. It's a golden goat idol. Now, I know people are going to say, no, it's not. This is not an idol. Friends, listen to me. I'm going to go back to this, but I want to talk to you for a second. This situation 100% reminds me of the story of Exodus 32, wherein which Moses was up on Mount Sinai getting the commandments from the Lord face to face, getting the commandments to give to the Israelites. So he's up there for 40 days, 40 nights. He's coming down from the mountain, and there is the people gathered together with Aaron, wherein which, again, I'm in Exodus 32, by the way, for you guys listening on Apple and Spotify. And listen, we love you and we appreciate you, and we hope that you'll give us a good review, and that's going to get eyes on us as well. So nevertheless, again, it's Exodus 32. Moses coming down from Mount Sinai. Here's Aaron with the people gathered, and he says, listen what Aaron says, "Come, make us," or the people are coming to Aaron saying, "Come, make us gods that shall go before us. For as this Moses, this man brought us out of the land of Egypt, and we don't know what has become of him." What happened to Moses? Where is he at? Why is he taking so long? Did he die up there on the mountain? What's going on? So these people are becoming impatient, and they came out of Egypt, so they're used to having a false god. They're used to having a carved image, an idol to worship. So Aaron says to them, now you got to hear me out. Aaron being in command, he was the second in command. Here is Moses getting the commandments from God. Aaron should have said right here and interjected and said, "No, we will not entertain creating any kind of God or image." Okay? And we just need to wait and be patient because Moses is in the presence of God. But no, what did Aaron do? Aaron compromised, and he said to them, Exodus 32 verse 2, "Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of our wives, sons, and daughters, and bring them to me." So Aaron's directly involved in this. Aaron says, "Bring it to me." So all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in the ears and brought them to Aaron, and he received the gold from their hand, and he fashioned it with an engraving tool and made it a molded calf. Now stop. This is what's interesting. Again, when you go to this story, this was sculptured, it was made, it was fashioned, it was created. Trump approved it because he signed it. Now, you say, well, what's the big deal, Brother Ricky? They're not worshiping it. This is going to a charity. It's to stop trafficking. Here's why I have a problem with this. Again, if Trump is surrounded by all these so-called spiritual advisors, which I have a big problem with a lot of his spiritual advisors. Listen, you can get mad at me and unfollow me. It's okay. Especially his head spiritual advisor, Paula White. Big problem with her. And listen, it would take me 45 minutes to do a whole expose, segment, whatever on her, and I don't want to mess with that. I'll let other people do it. They're doing it. They're doing a good job of it. But I'm just saying I don't approve of that. But where are his spiritual advisors that want to step in and say, hey, this probably is not a good look? Mr. Trump, being that you have a huge base that is conservative Christians and faith-based, it is probably not a good idea or a look to be involved in this, let alone sign this thing and approve it and let it be sitting here at Mar-a-Lago on display. Secondly, and the fact that he condoned, number one, it's not just that it's the fact that it's a goat, guys. That's fine, whatever. But the fact that it's a goat that is wrapped in $100 bills with Trump's face on them, that alone is idolatry. Number two, it has "In God We Trust" replaced with "In Trump We Trust." That is blasphemy. So you have idolatry and blasphemy at full display at Mar-a-Lago, the headquarters of Trump, basically. And he doesn't see anything wrong with this, approves it, and gives a signature. And number two, none of his spiritual advisors has enough discernment to come to him in private and say, hey, this is probably not going to go over well. They're taking pictures they're taking pictures of this, and they're taking videos of this. And if this leaks out to the public, this is probably not a good idea. So the reason why I brought up Exodus 32 is because here you have someone in command over the people that's supposed to be, again, shepherding them and leading them in the right direction, who condones them and even participates in it, of molding a golden calf for them to worship. So I have a big problem with this, guys. Again, I understand, don't you send me emails and messages. Well, you're taking this too far. You're reading too much into this. No, I'm not. His spiritual advisors should have had huge red flags and said, no, we're not going to go through with this nonsense. We're going to put a stop to it. And number two, if Trump is a Christian, why would he do this, guys? Let me pull this back up. I want to pull it back up because I want to show you this. Look at this. This thing, this ugly goat is covered in fake $100 bills. Again, there it is with Trump's face on it. And look what it says right here. In Trump we trust. 2024. So this has been going on for a while. This was created last year. Unbelievable. In Trump we trust. No, we don't trust in Trump. We put our trust in God. A fool puts his trust in man. A fool puts his trust in the government. A fool puts his trust in mammon. But our trust shall be in the Lord thy God. All right, let's read on here, because here comes the backlash. Rob Canton, who's the creator, told Daily Mail when they reached out to him that he believed most of the people viewing the artwork interpreted goat is to stand for the, quote, greatest of all time. A sentiment that he said included Trump. I've certainly seen a few comments from individuals on social media expressing negative sentiments, but these have all seemed to come from individuals with an axe to grind and history of being triggered by anything President Trump says or does. Canton applied. Well, no, it's not. Because I don't get triggered by everything Trump says or does. I voted for Trump. I supported Trump. He was the best option. But this draws the line. This is too far for me. And it gets even more bizarre here, guys, because look at this image. Now, this is a post on X from Truth Seeker. Very interesting symbolism. Elon stands in front of the mirror with the Baphomet on his chest, and this is not fake news. This is true. And Trump Jr. shares a photo of his father standing in front of a mirror with a goat. Let me say that again for the back row. Here you have Elon Musk standing in front of a mirror with a Baphomet on his chest right there. And by the way, there's an upside down cross on the back of this thing. And then Trump Jr. shares a photo of his father standing in front of a mirror with a goat. Look, I'm just telling you, It just doesn't look good, guys. It doesn't look good. If you people are, of the notion that Trump can do no harm, and you're always fighting for him, and you're always there in the comments saying that we're embellishing things and we're twisting things and we're blowing it out of proportion, then this is not helping. This is not helping the cause. Again, I want to make it known to everybody watching, listening to this broadcast, either in the live stream or by the restream, by podcast, by video. I voted for Donald J. Trump. He was, in my opinion, the best option that we had. For the majority of what he's done, I agree with, but there is things that he has done, that is doing, that I don't agree with, and I'm not going to shy away, I'm not going to back down, and I'm not going to be silent, because at the end of the day, I am not a Republican, a conservative, a Democrat, or an independent. At the end of the day, I'm a son of the Most High. I am a child of God. I am a watchman, and I am one who has understanding of the times and seasons in which we're in, and I have got to sound the alarm when I see things that I believe, in my opinion, crosses that threshold, crosses that line, and this is one of them. All right, let's go back. Look at this. Look at this thing. Here it is. You got photo ops with this thing. You've got, there's a good look at it right there. Again, look at the gold on it. It was carved by hand. There's gold. It's gold. The only reason why you don't see the rest of this gold is because it's covered in $100 bills with Trump's face on it. Here's another picture of this thing right there with Trump's face on it. And there's his signature on it. So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Oh boy, I'm sure this is going to be a 3-ring circus in the comment section, but listen, let us know what you think about this, because I got to move on. I got a lot to talk about tonight. All right, let's talk about this. Just as I said, there's the good that I see Trump doing, but then there's the things that it's got me like huge red flags. And one of them is Stargate. We did a whole segment on Stargate. I'm not going to go too much into that. We've got a whole podcast out there. We did a couple segments on Stargate, the founders of this, who's involved in this, its initiative, its goal, its mission, and and what they plan on doing with the whole thing. All right, but one of these individuals is Larry Ellison of Oracle. Now look at this. This is a headline from Fortune.com, Fortune magazine, whatever the case may be. Larry Ellison wants the United States to, quote, unify all the national data and then feed it to AI. Let's read a little bit about this. All right, according to this report, Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison said during a conference this past week that governments need to consolidate, look at this, governments need to consolidate data about citizens for the sake of AI. He said AI models can help improve government services while also saving money and cutting down on fraud. See, has anybody noticed here that there seems to be this initiative that in the name of cutting out fraudulent spending, in the name of getting rid of this, in the name of the security of our nation, and in the name of all this, and cutting down fraud and et cetera, they're doing this and eliminating this sector, eliminating this section of the government, eliminating these people and firing these people, get rid of this. It's like they're flipping everything end over end. And again, everybody is like, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. But let's read into this. Larry Ellison thinks the United States and other countries, so it's not just the U.S., should be using AI more. Well, of course he's going to say that. But first, governments need to, quote, unify the data they collect on citizens into one easily digestible database. Stop. This is the technology that would make the Antichrist drool. I want you to think about that, because if you know your Bible, friend, you know in Revelation 13, there is going to be a buying, selling, and trading system that will be put in place that will require every person on the planet, rich, old, young, free, slave, bond. It don't matter their ethnicity. It doesn't matter their culture. It doesn't matter their nationality. Every person on the planet will be required to be in this data system of the beast. And they'll be required to put something in their right hand and in their forehead. So again, people think I'm crazy when I say the system of the beast is already here. The blueprints are here. The framework of the last day system of the beast is already here. It's being put in place, and it's not something that's future tense. It's here. And when Larry Ellison of Oracle makes this statement that in a conference that the governments of the world need to unify and get all the data that is collected on citizens and put it in one digestible database, I don't know about you, but this makes me cringe because people are, again, embracing this arms wide open. Speaking with the former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair at the World Governments Summit in Dubai, this past Wednesday, the Oracle co-founder and executive chairman said that while government organizations collect massive amounts of data, it is highly fragmented, making it hard to feed it into an AI model. Quote, it's not like go to this database and there's all the database about my country, he said. It's, quote, go to these 3,000 databases and here's all the data about my country. For example, an AI model can help improve and lower the cost of healthcare with better therapeutics and earlier diagnosis, he said, but only, look at this, only if it can access healthcare data, diagnostic data, electronic health records, and even the genomic data of citizens that is collected by governments. Wow, are you awake yet? Come on, somebody. If you're sitting beside somebody, you need to shake them and say, wake up. It's happening. Quote, that's the big step. That's kind of the missing link. We need to, quote, unify all of the national data, put it into a database where it's easily consumable by the AI model, and then ask whatever question you like. Oh, like, let's give you an example. Let's take all the data that we've collected on all the citizens of the world. Let's put it in the main database frame, feed it to the AI, quote unquote, and super AI. And then may I ask the question, who would have access to this information? Who would be permitted to go and step up to this database and ask the AI, can you show me the health records of the entire country of the United States of America? And then it just pulls all of the health records, medical records of every citizen in the United States of America. Because remember, all the governments of the world is going to be put into this pot, put into this database. Maybe this don't do nothing for you, but this is absolutely terrifying. And it reminds me, and here I go again, I always say this, it reminds me of a movie called Eagle Eye that I saw many years ago. And this was almost the same kind of scenario. This is, again, it's all that preconditioning to get us to accept this stuff. Let's go back to the article. A unified database can also help AI models uncover government fraud, he added. Again, that's what do I always talk about here? The selling point. You got to have bait on the hook.
This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president. This is, to me, a very big thing. $500 billion Stargate project. I think it's going to be something that's very special. It'll lead to something that could be the biggest of all.
When you go to the hospital these days, if you're using a modern system, using a modern system, the doctor will get a little note written by AI describing what the purpose of the appointment, and then that note will have your latest lab tests and your so the doctor's prepared when they meet with the patient. The AI will actually listen to the conversation between the doctor and the patient and make recommendations and improve the likelihood that the patient's going to get a high quality of care. It's easier for the doctor, it's better outcomes for the patient. It's really a revolution in medicine, but it's a revolution in many other industries as well.
I assume you've been working on it for a long time.
We have been working on it for a long time. The first data centers are actually under construction in Texas already, and we'll be turning them over to Sam to start training their next model. The data center we already built, it was the largest computer ever built. The data center we're building will surpass it and be the largest computer ever built, which enables this AI, which will allow personalized medicine. This is going to touch all of us. Yes, it takes a huge investment, but the result of the investment will be vaccines that prevent cancers, personalized medicine, where we never again run into a problem like COVID-19 before, because we get an early warning. We know when COVID starts, when there are a handful of patients, rather than having to wait until it's become an epidemic and very difficult to control. This is a very large investment that affects all of humanity.
Look, the fish are not attracted to the hook; they're attracted to the bait that conceals the hook. Are you hearing me? So you got to have something that's going to attract the people, that's going to make it attractive, that's going to make it appealing, that people will line up and sell this thing. So it'll get rid of fraud. It'll get rid of government fraud. Ellison, who is friends with President Trump's government spending cost cutter Elon Musk. Now, how do we know that he wasn't going to get involved in this? Pointed to the supposed misallocation of funds Musk has uncovered as head of Doge as evidence that AI is needed in this area. All right, Ellison went on to say, in order to enable the massive use of AI in governments, Ellison said that each country must invest in data centers, which must be built on domestic soil because of privacy concerns and the apprehension countries have over storing citizens' data in centers abroad. Just like airports obviously need to be in our country or they're not terribly useful, ports need to be in our country or they're not terribly useful. Data centers, because of the privacy requirements around the data, need to be in our countries or they're not terribly useful. All right, so we're going to move on from this, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please don't tell me I'm alone here. I cannot be the only one that sees that this is yet extending the framework of the beast system that will be put in place and used by the Antichrist and the false prophet. All right, now look at this headline. This one made my ears perk up too. Zelensky is calling for a, quote, army of Europe to take on Russia without U.S. as Trump urges him to make a deal with Putin. All right, according to the report, Ukraine's President Zelensky has today called for the creation of an army of Europe to tackle Russia. Zelensky spoke about his ambition to create a continental military force at the Munich Security Conference as he blasted Putin a, quote, liar, weak, and predictable. Now, the reason why I think this is interesting, guys, is because there has been some speculation floating around for some time now that Europe has an ambition to become a 10-nation superpower. Now, that's interesting. 10-nation superpower. The reason why that's interesting is because if you go over here to Revelation chapter 17, verse 12, he saw 10 horns, and he said these will be 10 kings who have not received no kingdom as of yet. But look what it says here. But they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. In other words, again, this is Revelation 17. The timing of this comes right a little bit past mid-trib. This is after the Antichrist takes authority. He takes his seat of power in the temple in Jerusalem, declares himself as God. And then the Bible says there will be 10 kings that will already be established in the earth. And they will surrender their power over to the Antichrist in 1 hour's time. Now, there's been speculation of what would lead them to do such a thing. If you go again if you keep on reading Revelation 17 and you read other chapters of the Bible, it tells you that there is what's called Mystery Babylon that will be destroyed in 1 hour's time. So consequently, you've got whoever this Mystery Babylon, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second when we get to Saudi Arabia. This is going to be an interesting conversation here. But you got Mystery Babylon. John says they're destroyed in 1 hour's time. And then you have 10 kings that give their power over to the Antichrist in 1 hour's time. Could it be possible that when these 10 kingdoms see Mystery Babylon destroyed in 1 hour's time, that fear grips the world, and these 10 kings or 10 kingdoms give their power over to the Antichrist. Because the Bible, listen, the book of Daniel says when the Antichrist, when he comes into power, he will come in, he will begin with a small army, but he will become great. Daniel he said, I saw 10 kings or 10 horns, right? And out of the midst of these horns comes the little horn, speaking great pompous things. This is the Antichrist. And the Antichrist will uproot 3 of the 10 kings. And the Bible tells you who they are: Egypt, Libya, and Ethiopia. So again, to me, it's interesting because the Bible references 10 kings. And again, there has been speculation for a while now that there is an ambition to create a 10-nation superpower eventually, as time progresses. This European Union has long sought to strengthen its global influence economically and materially. While it consists of 27 member states, some believe that there is a core group of powerful nations, potentially 10, that could drive deeper integration and position Europe as a more unified geopolitical force. Now think about what I just said here and what Zelensky is requesting. He's requesting for a European army. Now, what's the point of this? The EU has the second largest economy in the world after US and China. There have been ongoing discussions about a common EU army with France and Germany leading the charge. Europe also has aimed to reduce dependence on the US and NATO for defense while asserting more control over its economic and security policies. Now again, where do these theories circulate? From geopolitical analysts and biblical prophecy circles. This is where they're getting, again, that there could be this 10-nation confederacy. For example, they link this all the way back to the Treaty of Rome, 1957, the foundation of the European unity, often cited in discussions of European federalism. Then you had the Western European Union. It's a now defunct military alliance that once had 10 core nations before dissolving back in 2011. And then, of course, Revelation and the book of Daniel talk about a revived Roman Empire in the latter days, in the last days. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about this story. Guys, let me pull it back up. Let me give you the headline again. This is why I think don't just blow this off. But we need to pay attention to this because, again, Zelensky is calling for an army of Europe. Again, this could have biblical ramifications in the future as this thing goes along. All right, then you had Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee made an interesting statement recently, in which he said biblical change is coming to the Middle East. This is from charismamagazine.com. I want to read a little bit of this. If there's one thing former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is confident about, it's this, that a second Trump presidency would bring a, quote, and again, this is a direct quote, a change of biblical proportion to the Middle East. And if history is any indication, he's absolutely right. The Trump administration stood by Israel without hesitation, forging historic peace deals. How do you like that? And ensuring America's strongest ally in the region had the support it needed. Contrast that while the Biden administration, which often led Israel out into the cold, dragging its feet on diplomacy and falling back to the Jewish state with the same conviction. Quote, what the Israelis want is something simple. They want peace. Hello, Daniel 9:27. Hello, Thessalonians. They want their people home, Huckabee said on Fox News, but peace isn't possible as long as Hamas is still in play. They have said, even as recent as 2 weeks ago, that they would try to do another October 7th, so let's not be in any way fooled that they want peace. They don't. They want the destruction of the Jewish state. Again, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38:39. Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war has been weak at best, with indecision and wavering support. Meanwhile, under Trump, the Middle East saw, quote, real significant peace. Now, why is this significant, guys? Because I've said that I believe Trump is absolutely instrumental in initiating this peace and safety, this season of peace and safety. We're seeing this being thrusted and moving forward. So it's very intriguing, and it's very interesting when you read these articles and they confirm what we've shared and what we've told you guys on these broadcasts. All right, he goes on to say, quote, the Abrahamic Accords brokered under Trump were a, quote, game changer and something the Biden White House has done little to build upon. Huckabee also dismissed the idea of a two-state solution, a concept often pushed by European and Arab nations. They militarily marched 10,000 Jewish people out of Gaza, turned it into a complete Palestinian state, and the result we saw on October 7th, he reminded viewers. Again, so Mike Huckabee is coming right out and saying that, or he's warning that, quote, biblical change is coming to the Middle East. But what does this mean? What is it? Just peace and safety, or is the sudden destruction going to come and follow behind that? Now, having said that, let's just piggyback right off of this and go into our next story. This one, again, made my ears perk up as well, and I want to share this with you. All right, look at this headline, and this headline is something right here. Saudi prince steps in as power broker in Trump's new world order. This is a direct headline from Bloomberg. As U.S. President Donald Trump pushes to end the war in Ukraine and upend the order of the Middle East, one fellow world leader is at the heart of both initiatives, and that is Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He is the oil-rich kingdom's de facto ruler, is known as one of the few global power brokers to enjoy a close relationship with Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. While most Arab heads of state see him as critical to tackling a more erratic Washington that has positioned Riyadh as the most likely venue for a Trump-Putin summit on Ukraine and puts Prince Mohammed at the heart of the regional response to Trump's controversial proposals for war-ravaged Gaza. Look at this headline, quote, I'm going to read this paragraph. The Trump-Putin meeting could be an opportunity for, again, this is Mohammed Salman, to further his bona fides on the global stage. Again, this is according to the director of the Atlantic Council's Scowcroft Middle East Security Initiative. Wow, that's a mouthful. Riyadh may also hope that lending its support to this effort may grease the wheels for its preferences and goals related to Gaza. Now, look, let's go down here. Look at this. Saudi officials believe that positioning Mohammed bin Salman as a, quote, peacemaker, wow, furthers the kingdom's goal of becoming a middle-ranked global power that's friends with everyone and pursues a foreign policy that's mainly in the service of its economic interest and aspirations. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Saudi Arabia's aspirations, shall we? Did you know that Saudi Arabia has the ambitions to build a futuristic smart city called Neom? It is a $500 billion mega project. That's interesting. $500 billion project. Where else did we hear $500 billion project? Oh, that's right, Stargate. Anyway, this Neom is a mega project designed to be a hub for technology, innovation, and sustainable living. And by the way, it's the absolute blueprint for all of these world leaders. This is what they want to do all over the place. This is the smart blueprint, this project, this Neom. Let's dig a little bit deeper. It is part of the Vision 2030. This is a country's strategic plan to diversify its economy beyond oil. Let me say it one more time because I got a little tongue-tied. It's all of this, again, this Vision 2030 is part of the country's strategic plan to diversify its economy beyond oil. The key aspects of Neom, number one is called the Line. This is going to be a 170 kilometer long linear city with no cars, no roads, or carbon emissions, relying on high-speed transportation and AI-driven infrastructure. Number 2 is it is going to be a floating industrial city aimed at revolutionizing global trade and manufacturing. Number 3, it is going to be a futuristic ski resort in the desert planned to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games. And again, number 4 is they're going to have a luxury island resort focusing on tourism and entertainment. This NEOM will be completely powered entirely by renewable energy, solar, wind, and green hydrogen. AI and robotics will manage urban services and all infrastructure. The smart city features will have digital twins, high-speed connectivity, and biotechnology integration. NEOM aims to become listen to this, folks, a global center for technology, tourism, and innovation. It will attract top talent and businesses worldwide. And you don't think Donald Trump is drooling over this? He will absolutely be involved in this, 100%. Now let me throw another. Let's talk about another angle of Saudi Arabia that you may not know. It has strict laws regarding religious practices. Though the country has taken steps towards modernization under Vision 2030, that's part of this, religious freedom remains heavily restricted in persecution of Christians, especially converts from the religion of Islam. So if there's a conversion from Islam to Christianity, this will pose serious issues and ramifications. For example, some of the key aspects of persecution against Christians in Saudi Arabia are, number 1, Saudi Arabia does not allow public Christian churches or places of worship. So why am I talking about this? Because I don't want you to get this perception because the guy you voted for is rubbing elbows with the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and this has got to be great news because remember, our audience, guys, is believers and Christians, okay? The world doesn't understand this. They're not going to grasp this concept, but I'm talking about believers today. And you just need to know that Saudi Arabia, they allow no public Christian churches. They allow no places of worship. All Christian gatherings must be conducted privately, and those caught worshiping openly risk arrest or deportation. Number 2, if you are Muslim and you convert from Islam to Christianity, they have what's called anti-conversion laws in place. And this is deemed apostasy in Saudi Arabia, and it's considered a crime, traditionally punishable by death under Sharia law. Although it is rarely enforced in recent years, it is still there. Now you got to remember, think about the book of Revelation. That's all I'm going to say about that, because when the mark of the beast comes in, if you don't take that mark, John tells you the punishment is by death, and it's by beheading, because he saw under the throne the souls that were beheaded for their testimony to Jesus. I'll let you figure out what major religion, radical sect of that religion still practices beheading. Okay, you just got to figure that out. You're going to do some homework on your own here. Those who convert from Islam to Christianity face family rejection, social ostracization, imprisonment, or even threats to their lives. Missionaries, if you think you're going to go over there and be a missionary for Christ, they consider this proselytizing, and it is strictly illegal. Foreign Christians working in Saudi Arabia must avoid evangelism, as doing so could lead to imprisonment or deportation. Any public display of Christian symbols, crosses, or Bibles are completely banned. Online Christian content is censored, and any religious materials brought into the country will be confiscated. Okay? So why am I telling you this? Because I don't want you to think, well, he's a good guy because Trump's rubbing elbows with him and he's making plans with him and he's making great arrangements with him, and together they're just going to ride into the Middle East and bring peace and safety. No, again, wake up, guys. You need to wake up. And here's what's interesting, because biblically speaking, there are some camps out there that have raised the alarm, or I should say raise awareness that it is possible. And I'm not telling you that I believe this notion or this theory, I'm just throwing it out there for sake of conversation today. One of the debated aspects of prophecy is the identity of Mystery Babylon in Revelation 17 and 18. Some theologians have speculated that Saudi Arabia eventually will become the Mystery Babylon. And here's why they say this. All right, number one, Revelation 18:3, it will be this location will be a wealthy, influential city that makes nations rich through trade. Think about what we just talked about with Neum. It will be a hub of spiritual corruption and false religion. Hello. It will be a place that will face sudden and catastrophic destruction. Revelation 18. You can go on. It talks about the merchants will be in mourning over her destruction. It talks about oil trade. It talks about gold and silver. It will be, again, I'm not saying that Saudi Arabia is Mystery Babylon, but it does make you think about this stuff. Also, Saudi Arabia, think about this, has increasingly positioned itself as a global power, aligning with major nations like the U.S., China, and Russia, and its role in the Abraham Accords and ongoing diplomatic efforts suggest that it could have a hand in shaping future peace agreements in the region. Hello. Then you go to Ezekiel 38, and it mentions Sheba and Dedan. One of the, again, in my opinion, this is one of the most clearest biblical references to Saudi Arabia in the end times, and it's in the prophecy of this war of Gog, Magog, Ezekiel 38. And in Ezekiel 38:13, the passage describes an end-time invasion led by Gog and Magog, wherein which in this event, Sheba and Dedan, these are ancient regions corresponding to modern Saudi Arabia today, are depicted as questioning. They're sitting back, questioning the invasion, and they're not participating in it. They're just sitting back neutral and watching. Along with them is the young lions thereof. And some suggest that that's Britain. But America is never mentioned in that war of Ezekiel 38:39. All right, so what are we taught? Let's bring this thing home. Again, today I've shown you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've shown you 5 stories that are all showing us that biblical prophecy is at full steam ahead. There's no stopping it. There's no preventing it. And it's coming to fruition, and it's accelerating at an all-time high. And something to think about here, guys, when Daniel saw these things, God instructed him to seal up the book until the time of the end, wherein which knowledge shall increase and many shall run to and fro. So it was shut up, and it was restrained for a season. But then when you get to Revelation chapter 1, John begins to see this vision of what is going to come in the latter days. And Jesus Christ speaks to him and says that you are to speak of these things that will shortly come to pass. So again, you've got Daniel and you've got John. And both of these men, if you pull the parallel together of what both of these men saw in the end time in relation to Bible prophecy, it lines up almost to a T. They both saw the same thing. The only difference is John saw a fuller picture of what Daniel saw that he was limited to see. Daniel was told to shut up the words of prophecy until the time of end. And he said there will be 2 major things that will cause the book to be opened and accelerated. It would be the increase of knowledge, the increasement of knowledge, and the expansion of transportation. Think about today. Think about what's going on with technology. Think about what's going on with transportation. And then John is told, when you open these things, I'm going to show you what shall shortly come to pass, indicating that once the book is opened, that things are going to hit hyperdrive and accelerate at a pace in which any of us could hardly comprehend. Again, this agrees with Matthew chapter 24, and it talks about the birth pangs of the Messiah. When you get closer to the birthing of, the male child, the birthing of the child, the birth pangs will increase and they will intensify before the breaking of the water and the delivery. Friends, what's the point that I just made? My point is this, Luke 21:28. When you begin to see all of these things coming to pass, you better look up and lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing near. Listen, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. That's going to be our main website. Make sure you bookmark our site. Make sure you, again, get our free app available on Apple and Android devices. Again, we're working on getting it back up at Google, but it is available on Apple right now. Also, guys, we got some announcements tomorrow night. Don't forget, tomorrow night is our regular Monday night prayer and devotional, live, right here, same time, same place, same channel, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, and then again, the only way you're going to be able to watch this and participate in this, you got to come over here and you got to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So you need to come over here and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be a part of this live when we do these broadcasts. And I'm telling you, people love these things. A lot of people say, I love these Monday night devotional times and prayer times. I like these more than the regular podcast, which is, listen, our whole goal, guys, is just to get people informed of the times and seasons. We want to bless people. We want to equip them. We want to encourage them. We just want you to be plugged in to somewhere where you're going to get fed and you're going to grow in your walk with God. And we pray that we do that. And listen, as we've told you before, and as you know by now, we launched Watchman Media Network. Now, what this is it's a collaboration of other voices, of other platforms, of other watchmen. They're going to come on and we're going to get together and we're going to discuss certain topics, discuss certain events. And we're going to, and we've told you, we're going to see this more and more. And so Tuesday night, we've got a young man. He is a teacher at ISO, and this is the International School of the Word. We're going to bring him on. And then this Friday night, we're going to have Larry Ragland from The Big Picture. We're going to have him on Friday night. So this week, we got 2 guests lined up for Tuesday night and Friday night. So you don't want to miss it. And again, we'd love for you guys to be a part of those things. And listen, if this ministry blesses you, encourages you, equips you, all of the above, of course, we always want you to pray about becoming a monthly partner. 2 different ways you can do that, guys. You can give electronically through the app, through the website. There's places all over the place. You can hit there's a link right there. It's pinned to the top of YouTube where it says support. You can click there. Again, if you want to give electronically, you got multiple options. If you wish to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia, 30655. So, again, we appreciate you taking the time to come on here this afternoon. And we are looking forward to being with you again on tomorrow night, on Tuesday night, and then, of course, Thursday and Friday as well. So until we see you on the next one, guys, we love you, we appreciate you, and we pray that the Lord bless you, keep you, and may His countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.